Russell Martin isn't here to waste time. His summer rebuild at Ibrox has been aggressive, focused, and clearly calculated. 10 new faces have already come through the doors at Rangers, each one handpicked to fit the vision of a manager who's not just planning for now, but for a full-blown challenge to Celtic's domestic grip. And the transfer business isn't done yet. In fact, attention is quietly shifting towards one crucial area that until now has remained untouched, the goalkeeping department. Jack Butland has been nothing short of phenomenal since his arrival. Commanding, composed, and reliable, he's played a massive part in the early season momentum, particularly in Rangers' Champions League progression against Panathinaikos. His shot-stopping leadership and consistency have earned him the status of an untouchable starter in the eyes of most fans. But even with a player of Butland's caliber between the posts, Russell Martin knows that competing on multiple fronts means you need depth, real depth. And that's where HAYNE's name starts to gain traction. HAYNE, just 23 years old, has been with Arsenal since 2018, while he's yet to make a real breakthrough in North London. With only one competitive appearance for the Gunners, his development hasn't gone unnoticed. Internationally, he's already a regular with Estonia's senior squad, amassing 39 caps and twice being named the country's Young Player of the Year. That's not a stat you can ignore. It says something about his maturity, his potential, and the trust he's earned on the international stage despite limited opportunities at club level. But let's not pretend his journey has been all highs. His most recent loan spell in Spain with Elche in La Liga didn't exactly go to plan. HAYNE was a starter in a team that had a nightmare of a season, finishing rock bottom with just 14 points and conceding a jaw-dropping 90 goals. On paper, those are horrendous numbers, but context matters. Elche were a mess across the pitch. Their defensive line was often in chaos, and HAYNE was left exposed far too often. Even then, he started 31 games, gained experience under pressure, and never shied away from responsibility. And that in many ways is the kind of character Russell Martin seems to be drawn to, someone who's had to scrap, learn, and grow under tough circumstances. If this move does go through, it's likely that HAYNE will be arriving as a backup, at least to start. Replacing Butland outright would be unthinkable right now. The Englishman is arguably Rangers' most consistent performer this season, and any hint of him being dropped would be met with complete disbelief. But as any manager worth his salt will tell, your squad depth is not a luxury, it's a necessity, especially when you're fighting in Europe, aiming for domestic trophies and navigating injuries and fixture congestion. And with HAYNE's age, international pedigree, and development potential, this could be a very smart bit of business for the long haul. But that's not even the biggest move raising eyebrows around Ibrox. Let's talk about Oliver Antman. Because Rangers might have pulled off one of the bargains of the summer, not just in Scotland, but across Europe. Antman, a Finnish international. Winger arrived from Go Ahead Eagles for a reported fee of just £4 million. But according to analysts, if the Dutch club were to replace him with a player of similar quality, they'd need to spend in the region of 28 million euros. That's the scale of the coup we're talking about here. One European football analyst didn't hold back on social media, calling it daylight robbery. He described Antman as a superstar in the Dutch Eredivisie last season, someone with an elite finishing profile and an unexpectedly high defensive contribution. That kind of two-way winger is rare in modern football, especially one that's still young, hungry, and already producing at a high level. Add to that a decent passing game, and you've got a multi-dimensional attacker who fits right into Russell Martin's tactical approach. High press, fluid movement, positional flexibility. Antman brings all of that to the table, and you can already feel the buzz around him. Antman's signing hasn't just added quality on the pitch, it's energized the support. There's a growing belief that Rangers aren't just filling gaps, they're building a side with purpose. Every new arrival seems to tick a box, address a need, or raise the level of competition in the squad. It's strategic, it's ambitious, and above all, it's exciting. But transfer news aside, there's another story quietly unfolding within the team. John SOTAR. The Scottish defender has quietly gone about his business under multiple managers since arriving from Hearts in the summer of 2022. But under Russell Martin, he's starting to look like a real leader. That was clear during the recent 3-0 win over Victoria Pleasant, where SOTAR wore the captain's armband and turned in arguably his most commanding performance of the season. And yet with just 12 months left on his contract, the big question looms what's next for him. When asked about his future, SOTAR didn't dance around the subject. He admitted he hasn't heard much about contract talks, but made it clear how much he loves being at the club. For him, it's all about the football. Every time he steps onto the pitch, he gives it everything. No distractions, no agendas, just pure commitment to Rangers. That kind of mentality is gold in a squad that's trying to rebuild its identity and chase silverware on multiple fronts. And it's not just words. SOTAR's actions back them up. He's been at the heart of a defense that's now delivered multiple clean sheets, including in high-stakes matches like the Champions League qualifier against Panathinaikos. His partnership with summer signing Leon Balogun, who returned to the club on a season-long loan, is showing real promise. It's still early days, but the understanding between them is growing, and the stability at the back is becoming a foundation the team can build on. That Victoria Pleasant result was more than just a good win. It was a response, a statement even, after the disappointing opening day draw with Motherwell, and it was made possible by a bold call from Martin. He left both James Tavernier and Nicholas Raskin out of the starting lineup, handing the armband to SOTAR instead. It could have backfired, but instead the team delivered. High energy, sharp passing, aggressive pressing, everything Martin wants to see, especially in that dominant first half. SOTAR reflected on it after the match, saying it was enjoyable, not just because of the result, but because of how the team played. Quick ball movement, confidence in possession, and an intent to control the game. That's the blueprint going forward, the kind of football that can make Ibrox a fortress again. And for SOTAR, who clearly feels a deep connection to the club, it was a proud moment. Not about personal glory, but about the group bouncing back and showing character. He knows the expectations, he knows the pressure, but he also knows what it means to wear the Rangers shirt. His words after the match hit home for a lot of fans. "Every time I pull on that jersey, I'm honored," he said. And you could tell he meant it. This is a different kind of rebuild at Ibrox. It's not about panic buys or short-term patches. It's about laying a new foundation with a coach who has a clear vision, a squad that's buying in, and a support that's hungry for more from. Ant-Man to HAYNE, from SOTAR's leadership to Butland's heroics Rangers, are moving with intent. And with the Champions League dream still alive and the domestic race wide open, this team is giving fans plenty of reasons to believe that something special might be brewing at Ibrox. With the job far from finished and the season already ramping up, every move Russell Martin makes is under the microscope. But if there's one thing that's becoming clearer with each passing game, it's that this is a Rangers side being built with layers. Not just talent, but attitude, tactical awareness, and proper footballing intelligence. And nowhere is that more obvious than in the reaction to adversity. The draw against Motherwell on opening day could have sent things sideways. Instead, it sparked a response. And that reaction has spoken volumes. On Tuesday night under the lights at Ibrox Rangers, didn't just beat Victoria Pleasant, they set the tone. From the first whistle, there was urgency, rhythm, and purpose in their play. You could sense it even before the goals came. The midfield dictated the tempo, the backline held firm, and the attacking transitions were sharp and decisive. And when the breakthrough arrived, it was no surprise. A double from J.D. Gilmour, who has been quietly growing in influence, and a cool penalty from Cyril Desires wrapped up a performance that not only restored belief but reinforced the idea that this team is starting to understand what Martin wants from them. That might be the biggest shift of all. We're seeing players adapting, growing into their roles, and taking ownership of their responsibilities on the pitch. And that comes from the top. Martin's message has been consistent play with bravery. Move the ball with intent and never lose control, even under pressure. It's modern football, yes, but it's also practical, rooted in work rate and clear tactical organization. One thing that's already noticeable under Martin is the versatility within the squad. You're seeing players being asked to play different roles, contribute in different phases of play, and show flexibility when it matters most. Whether it's wingbacks tucking in to create overloads in midfield or centre-backs stepping into passing lanes to break lines, there's a clear identity forming. It's not perfect yet, and then it won't be for a while, but the direction is undeniable. This is why depth is going to be absolutely crucial. With European fixtures stacking up and domestic pressure never far away, Rangers can't afford to rely on a fixed 11. That's where the recruitment this summer starts to make even more sense. It's not just about who's starting each week. It's about who's pushing, who's ready to step in, and who's improving in the background. Karl HAYNE, if the move is completed, fits that bill. He doesn't need to walk in and take the #1 shirt. What he needs is to come in hungry, ready to learn, and ready to step up when called upon. And knowing the way Martin is setting standards, you can bet every player is on notice. Take the case of Leon Balogun, for example, a familiar face back at Ibrox, but his return wasn't just about sentiment. Since coming back on loan from Wolverhampton, he slotted in like he never left. Composed on the ball, solid in the air, and always vocal. Balogun's partnership with John SOTAR has real potential. There's trust developing between them, and that chemistry is already delivering clean sheets in big matches. They complement each other well. Balogun's experience and positioning, working alongside SOTAR's physicality and growing leadership. That duo has given the team a sense of security badly needed after an uncertain start to the season. Then there's the mentality. After the Motherwell draw, it would have been easy to start asking questions, especially with the pressure that comes from playing at Ibrox. But Martin's message was clear: don't panic. Learn, adapt, improve. And that's exactly what the players did. It's that calm intensity, that focus on solutions rather than scapegoats, that is slowly starting to shift the atmosphere around the club. You can feel it in the stands too. The supporters can see that this is a team trying to play the right way, trying to build something real. No one's pretending the rebuild is finished. In fact, Martin himself has been open about the fact that more business could still be done. But even now, with the window still open, it's hard to argue with the work that's been done so far. Now, dude, 10 new signings, each with a role to play, and not a single one of them brought in without thought. It's calculated, it's planned, and above all, it's built for sustainability. Players like Oscar Cortez, who bring explosive pace and flair, are already giving fans glimpses of what's to come. Midfield additions like Mohamed Diomande and Kieran Dowell are adding balance and intelligence in possession. And let's not overlook someone like Dujon Sterling, a player who might not always grab headlines, but whose versatility and work rate are proving essential. These are players you build systems around, not just throw into matches hoping for impact. The overall squad dynamic is starting to show a healthy balance. Youth and experience, flair and discipline, raw talent and proven pedigree, and more than anything, it feels like the dressing room is buying in. That's not always easy to achieve, especially when a club undergoes this level of change in such a short space of time, but Martin seems to have struck the right tone. Demanding but not rigid, ambitious but realistic. And he's constantly reinforcing the idea that nobody's place is guaranteed. You earn it every week in training and in matches. Now, with a comfortable lead against Victoria Pleasant in hand, Rangers are staring down the opportunity to take another big step towards the Champions League group stage. That would be a massive boost. Financially, of course, but more importantly in terms of the belief it would generate. Nights under the lights in Europe bring something out of this club. They always have. And with the squad deeper, more prepared, and tactically sharper, the dream doesn't feel far-fetched anymore. It feels like something this team could actually achieve. But as always, consistency is key. One good night in Europe doesn't win you the league. And that's where the real test lies. Beating the Victoria Pleasants of the world is important, but the bread and butter is still the Scottish Premiership, where every slip-up can be costly and where the pressure is relentless. Martin knows that. He's not building a side to play pretty football once a week. He's building a squad that can handle the grind, the intensity, and the expectation that comes with being Rangers. That's why the response to Motherwell was so important. Not just because of the result that followed, but because of how the team responded. The energy was better, the tempo was better, the attitude was better. And it's not just about the starters, the bench is becoming a weapon. Players are coming on and making a difference. There's competition now, real competition. And that's the environment where good teams become great. And look, it's still early. No one's booking open-top buses. But the signs are positive. There's a growing confidence within the squad, a sense that the pieces are starting to fit. And while the road ahead is long, with plenty of challenges still to come, you can't help but feel like this Rangers side is beginning to rediscover its identity. A team that plays with purpose, a squad with depth and quality, a manager who knows what he wants, and a support that once again dares to believe. This isn't just a rebuild. this might be the beginning of something much bigger. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. Rumors are swirling around Ibrox this week following alleged comments attributed to Rangers midfielder Tom Lawrence, who is said to have described the club's dressing room environment as toxic and disunited. While no official statement has been released by the club or the player himself, whispers emerging from behind the scenes suggest growing unrest within the squad. The murmurs started after reports claimed Lawrence, in a private conversation that was later leaked, voiced his frustrations with the current mood and lack of cohesion among the players. It's the kind of claim that, true or not, sends shockwaves through a club already under pressure to return to the top of Scottish football. Many are questioning whether Lawrence's alleged statement is a reflection of deeper issues at Ibrox, or simply the venting of a frustrated figure struggling with recent performances. The timing could not be more crucial as pre-season preparations ramp up and expectations from fans remain sky high. With Celtic continuing to set the pace in the league, any signs of instability at Rangers quickly become headlines. Whether this is just a misunderstanding or something more concerning, it's certain that fans and pundits alike will demand clarity in the days to come. Behind closed doors, the tension may be building as insiders speculate on the possible rift between senior figures in the Rangers squad. If Tom Lawrence did indeed speak of a fractured dressing room, it might lend credibility to theories that certain players have not been pulling in the same direction. The suggestion of a toxic atmosphere paints a bleak picture of life inside the dressing room walls, particularly for a club with the stature and pressure that comes with wearing the blue jersey. Some point to past instances of managerial fallouts and inconsistent team selections as indicators that not all is well. Others hint that recent high-profile signings may have disrupted the existing hierarchy within the squad, creating camps and internal competition that's become unhealthy. Former players have often warned about the intensity and spotlight that come with playing at Rangers, but rarely have allegations of such strong language been floated about the club's inner workings. If the squad is truly divided, it may explain the inconsistent performances seen in recent campaigns and the lack of cohesion in key matches. Fans will no doubt hope these whispers are unfounded, but until there's transparency, the shadow of doubt will linger over Ibrox. Adding to the intrigue is the silence from both the club and Tom Lawrence himself. The lack of a public rebuttal has only fueled speculation, leaving room for debate and interpretation. If the claims are false, one might expect an immediate and stern denial to put the matter to rest. However, with neither a confirmation nor a denial forthcoming, supporters and pundits alike are left to draw their own conclusions. The quiet may be strategic, perhaps a way to calm the waters privately before addressing things publicly. But in the age of 24-hour news cycles and social media scrutiny, silence often speaks louder than words. It's worth noting that Lawrence has had injury struggles and patches of inconsistent form since joining Rangers, which could lead some to wonder whether personal frustrations have boiled over into broader criticism. Still, calling the atmosphere toxic and disunited is no small charge. Whether meant as a passing comment or something more intentional, such language suggests deep-seated issues. Dressing rooms thrive on unity, especially at a club with such intense fan expectations. And the idea that things are fracturing behind the scenes will undoubtedly be concerning for anyone invested in the club's success. The possibility of dressing room unrest could have wider implications for manager Philippe Clement and his backroom staff. If players are truly at odds or morale is deteriorating, it raises questions about leadership, communication, and the culture being cultivated within the club. Clement, brought in to stabilize and reinvigorate the team, would surely see such a revelation as a setback to the culture he is trying to build. The manager has been praised for his tactical acumen and vision for the squad, but even the best plans can falter if the group dynamic is flawed. Reports of toxic dynamics could also influence summer transfer business, both in terms of player departures and recruitment strategy. Prospective signings might think twice if the dressing room is indeed an unpleasant environment, and existing players may push for exits if they feel the culture is unsalvageable. Such situations can escalate quickly if not addressed, and club would do well to get ahead of the narrative. If this rumor holds any truth, the leadership at Ibrox may need to step in and mediate before divisions deepen. Otherwise, the team could risk losing more than just points on the pitch. Finally, the reaction from the Rangers faithful could be the most telling factor in how this rumor unfolds. The Ibrox crowd is known for its passion, loyalty, and high standards. If supporters start to believe that disunity and toxicity are hampering the club's ambitions, pressure on both players and management will intensify. Trust between fans and the squad is crucial, and any perception of internal chaos could erode that bond. Social media channels are already buzzing with speculation, with some defending Lawrence's alleged honesty, while others call for disciplinary action if the comments are verified. The supporters, having endured a turbulent few seasons chasing domestic dominance and European success, demand full commitment and harmony. A divided squad cannot deliver silverware, and everyone knows it. Whether the claims are rooted in truth or merely gossip exaggerated by hearsay, the club will need to handle this situation delicately. A public show of unity may be needed soon to reassure the fans and keep the focus on football. In the end, this could either be a storm in a teacup or the first sign of a deeper reckoning at Rangers. Only time, and perhaps a press conference or two, will tell. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.